So today I want to share with you guys about life insurance, and in particular, because life insurance is a pretty nebulous concept. It's not like we're buying a car or anything. How do I work with prospects? The short answer is with respect as number one. There's an old saying in the life insurance business that life insurance is sold, not purchased. So when you think of that, think in terms of the old stereotype life insurance salesman, or even worse, a timeshare presentation. You know, that's old school, but I strive to break the old stereotype mold. And those of you who've worked with me know that I'm very much a soft sell. I really prefer to know the prospects, find out their needs, their wants, educate them about their options, and allow them to buy should they choose to do that. A very typical sales process for me, and by the way, I hate to say it, this is boring stuff, but you know, I think we all have to know how our prospects or our current clients are treated when we do refer them to somebody in our group. You know, we do this on one-on-ones, but I thought I'd share with everybody here as the group. So like I say, I grew up in the New York Life stable, which back then was everybody needs whole life insurance, and that's what you go out and you sell. I don't subscribe to that, and a very typical sales process for me is 2 or 3 visits. The first one is probably a 15-20 minute visit, get acquainted, get to know each other, do some fact finding, and then there will be some solutions in the air, and then to come back and follow up. The next meeting, another 15-20 minutes, and maybe 30 if the person says, I see what I want, let's do it. I'm always prepared to just write the business, get it done. I'll always strive not to waste anybody's time. That's big, especially because we're all very busy. Obvious questions typically arise. How much insurance should I have? And how much does it cost? Those are great questions and easy to answer after we determine the why. So we have to find out why somebody is even talking to me about life insurance. It could be family protection. So a young couple is married, one bread earner, and if that person were to die, where would the family be without a proper life insurance policy? It could be business protection. A couple business partners. If they knew what happened if one partner died, they certainly would make sure they had insurance on each other to protect their share of the business. Estate protection. You have somebody owns a ranch or two or a bunch of illiquid properties. Life insurance can be the liquidity they need so that the heirs don't have to fire sale properties at a death. And then the last one is, why would a young single person buy life insurance? The main reason is guaranteed insurability. When you're in your 20s, you're bulletproof, nothing can hurt you. But all of a sudden, your 40s and 50s, and things can happen that make us uninsurable, or a table rating, or any number of things that make things either unavailable or unaffordable.
What's a table rating?
Table rating would be somebody had a heart attack in the past 2 years. Yes, I can write that person, and they will be approved for insurance, but there'll be a standard, but then there'll be an extra rating on top of that, extra premium.
More money.
You get more money. So it goes from table A to table J, depending on the seriousness of the issue. So anyways, a young person purchasing life insurance that can have guaranteed insurability. And since life insurance is not free, we must always weigh the cost versus the benefit for each situation. In the example of a young family, of course, and this goes back to my New York Life days when we were really trained to go out and sell whole life insurance because term insurance isn't what they wanted us to sell. But not everybody has the money to purchase the amount of life insurance in a permanent whole life policy that families should have. I would much prefer seeing a family get an affordable, very inexpensive $500,000 term policy instead of a permanent insurance plan at maybe 15 times the cost. I will always strive to identify the best value, stealing a line from Dave, identify the best value for a prospect to purchase what is needed or wanted. And that's the bottom line for me out there in the field. So, questions? Anybody have a question about life insurance?
Why did you decide to be independent?
I've always been kind of a GDI at heart, and when I first got into the business, I needed the training, and they identified that I was somebody that could probably be good for a company like New York Life. After 10 years, I realized I really was more for you, the client, than I was for them, the company. So I would search out the marketplace to find a solution, and then we parted ways. I was with them for a number of years. Yes?
Could you please touch on the difference between term life insurance and whole life insurance?
Sure. Very simple.
She's a plant.
Yeah, she is.
We all are.
The simple distinction is whole life policy or permanent insurance is like owning a home. Consider it a mortgage. After a certain number of years, that mortgage is paid off. You own the policy. It's there forever. Term insurance is like renting an apartment. You might take a 10-year lease, a 20-year lease, or a 30-year lease where the rent can't go up. But after that period of time, you don't have that apartment, that lease, or that insurance. Yes, Bart?
I just wanted to make a comment. I have a term policy that's going to expire in a couple of years that I bought when my kids were little. And little did I know at the time I bought it that I would end up with a pre-existing condition, so I cannot get it renewed. And also that the economy would fall and I wouldn't want to leave my family with debt.
Sure.
That I highly recommend expanding the years you do it for.
Sure. So, your current agent or myself could look at that, make a quick phone call, and find out what are the conversion options. Because all term insurance, almost all term insurance, is convertible. If you had a $500,000 policy, we could say, let's shop 100, 250, and 5 and see how much the premiums are for either of those levels of permanent insurance.
Yeah, but I think with I have developed a condition.
No, but there's no medical questions.
There's
No medical questions if we convert existing term insurance.
Okay,
That's the
really-
value of the guaranteed insurability. Right?
Ooh, okay.
So how do you determine the amount of insurance a person or a couple should have?
Simple rule of thumb would be 10 times income as a good start, or some people could look at replacement value of lost earnings. So if somebody earns $50,000 a year, we know you really should have $1 million of insurance to safely say that $50,000 will be replaced for the whole of the other person's life.
Steve, let's say that I'm a young married, just starting my family. I can't really afford to get all full life. But is there a policy where I can get so much full life and then so much?
Yeah. Do that a lot. So a family really can't afford the permanent insurance at the full level, but they might take $1 million of term, $100,000 of permanent, and then as their life changes, maybe obligations are over, they have more money, they'll convert more of the term into the permanent, so that as they get older, the permanent policy, and like a mortgage, the values continue to grow as well, just like equity in a property. So if they say our goal is to have a $250,000 permanent policy, at death that might be $500,000 because it continues to grow.
Yeah, Steve, medical science has made great breakthroughs over the last decade and two, and people's awareness of health issues, healthier. What has been the trend in life insurance as far as rates and who's insurable?
Sure. Trends are the actual premiums have been lowered because of our living longer. But then there's, I'm going to tell you that the underwriting has become more sophisticated as well. I mean, these darn underwriters, I don't know where they come up with this stuff, but they will tag somebody's cholesterol ratio compared to a blood pressure reading and say, this person is at risk. And it's like, where'd you get that? And they say, well, you can only get that combination if they're heavy drinkers or something, you know? So, everything's very sophisticated. Touching on that too, we should say, in the state of Colorado, medical marijuana has played a part in life insurance underwriting because we are only one of, 2 or 3 states that have that. And all of these insurance companies are out of Indianapolis, Hartford, Connecticut, Omaha, New York City. They don't really know about this. They don't care about it. They say you smoke pot, you're out. But we do have several carriers in the marketplace that are sympathetic, understand, and treat it just like a prescription med. So it's very good to know everything about somebody when we discuss life insurance, because I can find the solution. I just have to know what the problems are.
Yeah, I've been told if in the course of your application you forget to disclose some significant piece of information, like you take medical marijuana, that if there is a claim, it can be denied because you weren't completely forthcoming in your application.
Knowingly defrauding, yes. Not disclosing medical marijuana is not anything we would want to do. If we're taking it, we'll just find the company that understands. We must fully disclose though, because the worst case scenario is fraud. And that's one reason that we'd just cancel the whole deal.
If you are, have a prescription for medical marijuana, the insurance company knows that's documented. I mean, it's all confidential, but you sign paperwork for the insurance company
With the
that
state.
nothing's confidential. So they know. So don't just think that, oh, I'll just mark it off. And we've seen also for smokers, you don't want to be a smoker really, and it's twice as expensive to get life insurance. But if you've gone to your doctor and marked off that you're a smoker on their form,
You're a smoker.
You're a smoker. They write that down. So don't try to fool the insurance company. They know. So just be very
But they can
careful.
also tell that through, there's a visit from
Uh-huh.
a nurse that you have to do.
Yep.
Yeah, a blood and urine screen. Oh, quick funny story. Do I have 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Quick funny story. Because there's a lot of funny stories in my business, most that I can't disclose because it's very private and confidential. But I have this one new client, 69 years old, and of course I ask everybody, do you smoke pot? No. The paramed shows up, gets the EKG, but then he said, oh, I just ate breakfast. And so then they said, okay, we'll come back later in the day for the blood and the urine. Come back later in the day, get the blood. But he says, I just peed, so I can't go. And she says, well, I'll wait for a little while. He goes, no, don't bother. It's not going to happen. So then they schedule another date for her to come back. And then he says, okay. So then he pees in the cup, and he's handing it over to the woman, and she actually feels that it's warm body temperature, because that's one of the things they check, so you can't just bring in somebody else's pee. But then he fumbles it and drops it on the floor. So now I'm starting to get notifications from the paramed service that this guy is like acting strange. What's up with him? But he swore up and down he doesn't smoke pot, and I don't think he does coke. I just think he's a bumblehead. But that's like a life insurance humor.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's as funny as it gets.
And let's wrap it up there. Thank you.